Hey, thanks for joining us today. My name's Peter Bowman, and on my right or left, depending on what screen or device you're using, is my buddy Brandon McCullers, who is the founder of Boozie Company. Hey, Brandon, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing, Peter?
Doing awesome, man. Thanks for joining us, and we want to talk about your company today, which Boozie Company from the outside world just looks like it's on fire. And when you talk about getting into the leather or the exotic materials or the exotic fabrics business, that just sounds exciting. Just tell us more about what that means.
Yeah, when we first got into it, we just started with, regular cowhides and regular leathers, and we've just kind of evolved into more of a focus on the exotic let skins and, the sourcing and the identifying of the different animals and the different skins that we're able to find in our searches throughout Mexico is pretty amazing.
Has that been a big growth market? Like, is this something relatively new? I mean, I remember back in the 80s, it was like snakeskin boots you'd hear about, or, alligator purses and things. Is it much more common today for these items to be available? And I guess they're in a high price range, right? These are usually difficult materials to source.
Yeah, they are difficult to source, and the majority of the products that you see out there are just regular leathers that are stamped to look like the exotics. So
Right.
95% of the products that you see on the market are not the real, actual exotic skins. We pride ourselves in actually finding and identifying the best exotic skins on the market. And yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, but like anything, get what you pay for.
Yeah. Now, one of the brand slogans you have is "Made in the Americas," which is really cool, especially in today's kind of political environment of the Gulf of America, whichever side you're on. But talk to us about that "Made in Americas." What does that mean to you?
Well, being born and raised in North Florida in Jacksonville, I've spent a lot of my time outside the country between Mexico and Costa Rica, which are part of North and Central America. And I just identify as being in living in the Americas and kind of just seeing beyond borders and beyond boundaries and working together with manufacturing facilities and in all the countries that I explore. And and when you kind of open your mind to that, it really opens a lot of doors and a lot of opportunities. And when it comes to sourcing all of this stuff.
Right. And it looks like Boozy now is growing into what I guess you could call departments, right? You're kind of becoming this end-to-end provider from someone's concept to actually scaling a brand. Tell us about that and kind of how you're doing that through this academy. Like, how's that all fitting together to help people kind of move from point A to point B?
Well, we've always kind of done that with some other existing brands and kind of helped them finalize some of their ideas and actually get their product completed and taken to market. But
Right.
in the past, 6 months, we've really thought and expanded that as into not just working with larger existing brands, but starting with people that are anyone from that's in fashion school or someone that just has an idea that they want to do. And we can actually help you take that idea to a finished product, in a matter of weeks, into a couple of months for a minimal cost. Normally if you're going to try to reach out to a manufacturer, whether it's in India or China or anywhere else that you're going to do, there's going to be very high minimums. It's not something easy to do. And we're just trying to make it easier for someone to get into the business.
So whether you're a kind of a novice wannabe designer or you've got like an existing boutique or an existing brand, but you're not necessarily in the exotic space, the leather space, you can kind of open and open that door for them to move to that next level.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody that has any sort of an idea that of a bag that they want to do, whether it's a bag or an accessory, or even either a garment, clothing as well. You can
Right.
come to us. We can discuss it, and I can give you my 10 years of experience on kind of what I think works and what doesn't work when it actually comes to the laying of the bag on the body, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, and we can help you identify what materials you want, whether it is exotic or it could be regular leather, could be canvas. We work with an array of different materials. So yeah,
Right.
we can to help you take it to completion and to market.
And then one area that it looks like you're going into is this corporate gift, kind of like, the advertising specialty world is where, the stress balls and the pens that get handed out to swag at a trade show. But that's not what we're talking about here with some of your corporate things that you're doing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and I have seen through other companies and through other swag that stuff that you get at golf tournaments and working for other companies. They give you a bunch of stuff that you just really don't need and don't use. It's kind of a waste of money for the company and the employees and the people aren't getting cool stuff. So,
Right.
we offer, a higher end corporate gift that, leather bags, travel bags, computer sleeves, just anything that you could pretty much think of that's out of a higher end material is what we offer. Everybody's got a closet full of junk that, they don't really need, and we don't want to add to that.
Right. Were you always kind of intrigued by the leather space, or 10 years? You said you've been in for 10 years. What first got you into the leather space? Like what was the light bulb that went off that said, wow, this is a market area that I really want to own?
Being born and raised in Florida and just being around the swamps and alligators and snakes, I've always, had an interest in that.
Right.
And then years ago, probably 15 years ago, I attempted to start this business in Costa Rica, but there really wasn't the skilled craftsmen, crafts people that are, in
Right.
Mexico or in Costa Rica, like Mexico. So, 10 years ago, I'm living in Mexico and the opportunity presents itself and I dove all in.
And so the Mexico-US relation in terms of shipping, and it's not that China-America thing either, too, right? I guess there's advantages to having that relationship
Oh
coming
yeah,
from the Americas.
absolutely. You could send up to from a few bags up to, a pallet or as many as you want. Shipping time is, days as opposed to weeks. Our tax rate's a lot lower. It makes a lot more sense to do better or to do business in the Americas as opposed to China. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So this Boozie brand is grounded in this four-legged creature. Before we close, just give me like a couple of seconds on or minutes on. Tell us about the Boozie dog. I guess I'll call him.
So Boozy was my dog for 14 years. We traveled to multiple countries together. He had a wonderful life. And when I was in the creation and concept of the whole company, he was there through the whole process. And at one point, I looked over and I was like, "There it is. That's the name." We were trying to
Oh,
think
that's
of names.
awesome.
We were bouncing all sorts of stuff against the wall, and that's the one that stuck.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, thanks for your time today and good luck with the business. And we'll talk to you soon. For those of you out there listening, watching, if you're not already on boozieandcompany.com, make sure you go to that domain, boozieandcompany.com. Check out the boutique, check out all the things they're doing. And if you're interested in leather, exotic fashions, this guy is the person you want to talk to. Thanks again, Brandon.
Thanks, Peter. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Thanks.